What's good, Dolphin Nation? Today we're going to go ahead and cover day 18 of training camp, the first joint practice between the Jacksonville Jaguars and our Miami Dolphins. To start off this episode, I'm going to go ahead and read to you some news and notes from the Sun Sentinel. I believe it was David Furones from the Sun Sentinel that wrote this piece, stock up, stock down, and what was good during practice. I can tell you Jalen Wright got hurt during day 18 of training camp. That's what I can tell you. Then we're going to go ahead and listen to, before we listen to Mike McDaniel's presser, we're going to see some highlights from training camp, and then we'll listen to Mike McDaniel's presser. And after Mike McDaniel's presser, we'll go ahead and listen to other pressers from Tua Tagovailoa, Cam Gooden, Aaron Brewer, Ollie Gordon II, and Jason Marshall Jr. from yesterday's day 18 of training camp, joined practice with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But first, let's get started with the news and notes. Dolphins camp, running back Jalen Wright leaves practice with an apparent leg injury, plus stock up, stock down. And this was written yesterday. I apologize, not by Furones, not by Daniel Furones, but Chris Perkins. The Dolphins had their final joint practice of training camp on Thursday, as well as their final practice open to fans when Jacksonville came to town. Midway through practice, a fight between the Dolphins defense and the Jaguars offense evolved into two separate fights. The scrap started outside on the practice field, and some of the action migrated to the inside practice facility. Through an open garage-type door, Dolphins defensive tackle Matthew Butler started chasing someone indoors. And injured safety Ashton Davis was getting in there too. Later, Dolphins wide receiver D. Estridge had a small shoving match with Jaguars cornerback Jordan Lewis. The Dolphins were feisty and physical overall. The highly anticipated matchup of Dolphins Pro Bowler wide receiver Tyreek Hill and Jacksonville's Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winning cornerback / wide receiver, didn't happen as neither player practiced. Both are recovering from oblique ailments. Here's what we observed from the teams which squared off in last season's opener, a dramatic 20-17 victory for the Dolphins. Running back Jalen Wright left practice early. He was seen flexing his right leg, and he left the field. Wright was later seen entering the Baptist Health Medical Facility that's attached to the Dolphins Training Camp facility. Wright is locked in a battle for the number 2 running back job with rookie Ollie Gordon II. Starting running back Devon Achane is sidelined with a calf injury. Wide receiver A.J. Henning went into the Baptist Medical Facility on a cart. He was on crutches once he left the cart. Among those not seen at practice were defensive tackle Kenneth Grant, unknown, running back Devon Achane calf, center Andrew Meyer, unknown, offensive tackle Baron Matos, upper body, offensive tackle Austin Jackson, lower left leg, cornerback Kendall Sheffield, soft tissue injury, safety Ashton Davis, lower left leg, cornerback Ethan Bonner, right hamstring, linebacker Daquan Jackson was out, red no-contact jersey he wore Wednesday. Jackson blocked a punt Thursday. No one was wearing the orange jersey, signifying the player of the day from the previous practice. The Dolphins' first team offense had a narrow edge over the Jaguars' defense early in practice. Center Aaron Brewer said the Dolphins slumped a bit in the middle of practice, but picked it up again at the end. The Dolphins' first team had a significant edge over the Jaguars' defense early in practice. Dolphins offensive lineman versus Jaguars defensive lineman. 1-on-1. Overall, the Dolphins did well, although the Jaguars had their moments. The highlight was Patrick Paul versus defensive end Josh Hines Allen. Paul pancaked Hines Allen on the first repetition, and Hines Allen clearly beat Paul on the second repetition. Dolphins offensive line versus Jaguars defensive line highlights. Guard James Daniel lost to defensive tackle Armstead. Guard Jonas Mayaniah defeated defensive tackle Tyler Lacey. Left tackle Patrick Paul pancake defensive end Josh Hines Allen. Guard Jackson Carman tied with defensive end Dwayne Smoot. Guard Braden Daniels tied defensive tackle Mason Smith. Left tackle Keon Smith tied linebacker Jalen McLeod. Right tackle Larry Broom lost to Danny Strugg. If I murdered his last name, I apologize. Cornerback Jackson Jones was shoved to the ground at the end of a scrum early in practice. Dolphins defensive line versus Jaguars offensive line, 1-on-1. Edge rusher Jalen Phillips was stopped once on a repetition, but later swooped around offensive tackle Antoine Harrison. Edge Bradley Chubb was forced up the field once on a rep, then on another rep he went on the outside and drew a hold from offensive tackle Walker Little. Nose tackle Benito Jones was on the ground twice. Edge rusher Matthew Judon beat offensive tackle Fred Johnson as he forced a hold up neck his face mask. Up near his face mask. Defensive tackle Matt Dickerson beat guard Tremaine Archicum on his outside shoulder. Edge rusher Grayson Murphy forced a hold on offensive tackle Ricky Lee. Dolphins Jalen Wright had a short gain of 3 to 4 yards on a run right on the first play of 11-on-11, which was a good sign considering he was running behind backup right tackle Larry Broom. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa had an 11-yard touchdown to Malik Washington in the left corner of the end zone. Washington continues having a good camp. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa threw to wide receiver Jalen Waddle for an 11-yard touchdown on a slant, beating Jerran Jones. The Tagovailoa to Waddle connection remains strong. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa sustained a coverage sack by the Jaguars. He looked at running back Jalen Wright and tight end Tanner Connor who were both covered. Running back Ollie Gordon II had a strong gain left behind blocking by left tackle Keon Smith, who left Wednesday's practice early. Smith has been working as a number 2 left tackle. Quarterback Zach Wilson had an 8-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver Theo Wease Jr. in the back of the end zone in the middle of the field. Wease is having a strong camp, playing largely against the third team. This was against the second team. Running back Jalen Wright had a 6-yard touchdown run left as left tackle Patrick Ball and left guard Jonas Mayaniah moved defensive tackle Tyler Lacey. Paul and Mayaniah have worked well together all camp. Quarterback Zach Wilson was sacked by defensive end and ex-Dolphin Emmanuel Ogbah. Wilson had no chance as Ogbah came untouched on the offense right side. Cornerback Jason Marshall Jr. had a nice pass breakup versus Brian Thomas. Marshall, who has had a red zone pass breakup, continues to impress. Wide receiver Andrew Armstrong had a nice 35-yard reception versus double coverage on a strong throw from Zach Wilson. Edge rusher Quinn Bell had a nice 3-play burst with 2 run stops and a sack. Earlier, he set the edge, forcing a run back inside and also made the stop. Cornerback Jack Jones had an interception on QB Trevor Lawrence. Safety Minkah Fitzpatrick had an interception earlier, was pressuring Lawrence. Tight end Farrell Brown caught a short pass from Tua Tagovailoa, but linebacker Ventrell Miller forced a fumble. Brown recovered the loose ball. Center guard Liam Eichenberg, physically unable to perform this, was seen on the sidelines with a sleeve on his left leg. Tight end Aaron Waller wasn't seen practicing in any drills, 1-on-1 or 11-on-11. Waller was activated Wednesday from the PUP list. Right tackle Austin Jackson seen in a walking boot while riding the stationary bike Wednesday, wasn't wearing the walking boot while on the sidelines Thursday. Linebacker Jordan Brooks appeared to sustain a left leg injury late in practice while rushing the QB. He was walking gingerly for the remainder of practice and didn't go back on the field. Stock up. Left tackle Patrick Ball had a good one-on-one versus Jaguars defensive end Josh Hines Allen, and also teamed with left guard Jonas Minaya for some strong run blocking. Paul did good blocking on his own in the run game. He continues to be one of the top stories of camp. Stock down. Running back situation. With running backs Devon Achane and Jalen Wright sidelined, Saturday's game might be left largely to newly acquired running backs Mike Boone and Aaron Shapland. All right, guys, now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to pop up some quick highlights, and then we're going to go ahead and get with the pressers. Here's a highlight of Tua to D'Estridge. You're going to see that now. Then you're going to see the team warming up. Then another Tua pass to Waddle. Then another nice Tua pass. Then a nice pass breakup. All right, guys, now we're going to go ahead and get with the Mike McDaniel presser. Let's see what Mike McDaniel had to say.
That's why you guys are abnormally attending this?
Mike, yesterday we noticed Kenneth Grant was not out there. Is he going to be out there today, or is this a days or weeks situation?
Day to day. It's something that the toughest of competitors it would hold back, but not something we're worried about. That makes sense. Day to day.
Mike, with Achane, I know you want to take his time coming back. Are you leaving the door open to maybe using some of your running back depth a little bit more once Achane's ready to go from game to game?
Yeah, I think that's the unintended consequence or the opportunity in the adversity of any of the players, specifically a guy like Devon, where he's out so other people get ops. So there's one thing that people don't really know about Devon is he has complete ownership of the playbook, absolute ownership. And what is important about that? Well, on all the plays that you don't get the ball, are you contributing to the success of the play? So it's force the group to hold that down, and there's a lot of peer pressure within the team to execute your job. So we're finding out how much guys will be able to be used by how they. It's not like, hey, that was a big run. We were talking every day about, hey, identifying something to fix in your game, and then watching people adjust or not adjust, and that's how you earn your opportunities. That I think what you're looking for, I think the room's looking for, and they're trying to earn right now in front of their teammates, so that ultimately dispersion of the football is the most powerful weapon you can do against any defense. So whether that's using or changing running backs and keeping them fresh, or distributing it among all other four eligibles on each offensive play, that's what we're looking for. We want a team not to know how we're going to attack them and utilize their weaknesses to our strengths. And so today's an important practice for everybody, including the running backs.
Given what you just said about the running back room, Madison gone and Achane injury, do you feel like you have enough in that group, as far as proven experience?
Yes. As I say yes with confidence that thus far the growth is where it's needed to be at. The key is it can't flatline. It can't flatline. And that's what makes this NFL game hard, and particularly for young players ascending. But, I think that's the biggest thing is my expectation is they continue to grow with each every practice by the way that they buy in and to their game and are focused on the situations at hand, and they grow from it. So ultimately, yes, that's what we're really the team is behind. I'd say the locker room believes in them, and they're out to each one of them's out there to prove that they complete our room.
What is Judon?
With Waller
At the same time.
Do you want to talk about Judon or Waller first?
At the same time.
On the same team too.
All right.
You pick. You decide.
Huh? We're all on the same team, guys.
You're looking my way, so I'll jump. With Waller.
Wow.
With Waller, you mentioned earlier in the week that you plan to bring him along at a steady pace. We didn't see him yesterday, obviously, doing a whole lot. And we don't know if we're going to see him at all this weekend. So my question is, given that he had a year off and all, what is a reasonable expectation for him going into the regular season? How ready can he be for the regular season?
I can't wait for him to show me. He's done a great job, and you'll see more of him today. That's inherent in progression, and we're making sure that we know. I already know some of his. It didn't take long for him to be in walkthroughs to watch him execute the things that we're asking people to think about, and each practice is super important. But he's been. I think I'm looking forward to him growing in our offense, readily and pretty quickly because, I've watched him attack the time since he's been back. He's motivated. In case you didn't notice, he was once retired and came out of the retirement, and that he's applied that vigor every day, even when we haven't seen him on the field. So he is very prepared for each rep, and there's not a ton of time, but there is a ton of time, if that makes sense, because he's every moment will be of usage and of value because he's not going unprepared to any assignment that he has. He knows what he has, and that's monumental. Just think about a guy going to the line of scrimmage, hearing a play, and not knowing what he has to do, and then busting that play, and then figuring out what his responsibility is after practice. That's typically new players. That's a process that happens unless you're extremely diligent, such as Darren's been in the playbook. And his first walkthrough, he's aligning appropriately, both in the huddle and all the snap counts that Tua likes to use. He was all on, and he was 100% for his assignments. That allows for a timeline like this to keep it open-ended what his week one will look like based upon him and the offense.
Why Judon?
Because he's a dog. Have you talked to him? He told me. But that visit went well. You're always looking to within a team, even a a position that we feel very very good about, we invest a lot of attention and assets into the edge position, but everybody benefits from increased competition. And when you visit with someone that unequivocally makes clear that, hey, I was out this off season and I want nothing to do with that. I want to be part of a team, and he expresses absolute willingness and understanding, from a perspective of a former 5th round draft pick, that no, there's nothing given. I'm going to earn. So that mindset fit right in with, it sounded like I was talking to some of the core members of our, core veteran members of our team when he was speaking on what he wants from this opportunity. And, overall, you have people willing to work for whatever, that are selfless, trying to be a part of a team, to do things, and regardless of what, his energy, his who he is, and where he's at is why he's here, and we're excited about it.
You already had what we thought was a very crowded edge rusher room, where there's a lot of young talent you're going to have to make some tough decisions. How does adding Judon impact the Bo Kamaras, the Cameron Goods, the Derek McClendons, the Grayson Murphys?
Yeah, well, based upon yesterday's practice, which was, from a coaching perspective, we thought was probably the best practice that the edge group has had, in a very productive, off season and training camp. I think that's why you do something like that, because it's about the team being the very best it can be. And when you inject, more competition, you get to see everything about who you've been dealing with, who they are, how they respond. I thought the group responded to, the intent of that in the first place. We got our best play from the position that has had a very strong off season. That's what we're counting on. And you let people play, and each practice, after you do something like that, it's awesome to see how people react. And they tell you everything you need to know as long as your eyes are open. And, for us, that we're very connected in what we're asking the players to do and what they need to work on. And we're very connected as a coaching staff, so we stay on top of that. So it impacts them in a positive way or a negative way based upon what they decide. Yesterday they decided it was going to be a positive impact, and as a result, I think it was.
Mike, during his first 2 years here, this offense more or less seemed to run through Tyreek, and he hasn't obviously practiced much these past couple of weeks. What is this time without Tyreek doing for this offense as a whole and the rest of the members in it?
Well, I think there's a couple things at Bay that have been productive. Tyreek just inherently brings energy and confidence to your group. And then, Tyreek, as he's been this entire offseason, and how he's continued to be, I think you probably saw him on the field after every receiver made a play last practice. That's a good thing for the offense to have to work through, not having that energy and that extra bit of confidence that he naturally brings, and that's a good thing to work through. Particularly, you go through 3 different teams of joint practices, this being the third, and go on a Midwest trip. The overall group had to fight some battles in competitive situations, and they had to be their own voice. And I think that when you see that, then you see Tyreek investing in his teammates in a way that that's above and beyond anything I've seen from him since he's been here. Kind of, in a unique way, I think him being out has enabled his teammates to see how invested he is in them. So all good things to work through, and I think overall there's a residual gain from that down the road. But that's assuming that we continue a progression. When he's not in there, so that when he is, he's jumping in a huddle of a leveled up offense.
Mike, since this is the last time we'll speak to you before the game on Saturday, at this time.
Does that make you sad? It seems somber.
I'm trying.
Man, I get it, man. I get it.
At this time, are you planning on using the starters on Saturday night?
So they know that the starters know that they will be. My plan is for them to appear. What that looks like, the length of that, will kind of be determined by today's practice, and then I'll meet with the coaching staff right after, and then tell the players a little more definitively what that looks like. But they have recently been told that they will appear. That had been my plan, trying to focus on, it's our first home game. It's the first time this team's been through that routine, and much of the game, in much of each and every regular season game, the success or failure is determined by the process of going from practice to a game, and you can't. Those reps are invaluable, so that's where my priority goes. I want guys to. There's been a lot of technique growth. Preseasons like practice to me. I'm not looking for results as much as I want to see the growth in their game transfer from a technique and fundamental standpoint, and I want to see guys play together and get the last juice jitterbugs out before we get real in a couple weeks.
What's the status of Kendall Sheffield, and will we see him today?
I don't anticipate seeing him today. It would be several days, maybe week. It's kind of right in that middle ground as we're addressing his soft tissue injury. So it's very important to see that progress, and which I know he's diligently working on.
Coach, you were in Liam Cohn's situation 4 years ago, an offensive-minded coach getting his first head coaching job. Do you expect him to ask for advice, or when you were the younger guy, do you ask advice for someone in your situation and vice versa?
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, you young kids with your inexperience. There's always valuable stuff talking to any head coach, particularly one, for me that's a rep for me that feels ages ago, but not that long ago, if that makes sense. So being able to put myself in his shoes, it's helpful. I think you pay it forward. That was done for me, and the job is challenging, and no matter how much you think about it or prepare for it, it's a completely new rep. And so, I think my relationship and experience with Liam is that that when he got the job, I wasn't surprised. I was assuming he was going to get one at some point in time in the near future. And I think in talking to him briefly before these joints, I think I was right. He can handle the noise. It's a lot, but I think he's very passionate about his job, and I think Jacksonville should be happy to have him.
Mike, who is your Grim Reaper, and how does he get that job?
Grim Reaper. It's well, here with the Dolphins, we don't just put that weight on one person's shoulders. That would be tough for social interactions the rest of the year. So we kind of spread it out. But it's not. I honestly think that, with the way we kind of invest in players, the collection of the scouting department that really is bringing people to our offices. They're probably over. They probably don't feel the worst about the situation. Regardless, we go all in with our guys, and between myself and Chris and the coordinators, that's never, particularly for me, that's never easy. I just recognize all the work that people put in, and in the short term, it appears their goals aren't reached. Fortunately for me, that day is not today. It's not for a couple. One of my least favorite days that exist. But this one is probably going to be the worst that we've had, just based on there's a lot of roster battles that will be decided today, and in as well as the preseason game in a couple nights.
Coach, what do you need to see from your first and second year players, as this is like a final curtain call for them, just to make a roster?
Yeah, it's like those are the ones. One of the reasons I keep reiterating this like individual technique is, if you really study all athletic performers, the cream of the crop is able to take very, very intentional practice that's very in the shadows, and they're able to recreate that type of situation in the heat of all the noise, in the heat of all the the crowd, the atmosphere, the moment. So for first and second year players, every single time we go, particularly in the joint practices, you want to see if their technique is they're leaning into it, or if they, what we call, make stuff up. Make stuff up happens when you're like, hey, I want to make a play. It's very, very natural. It's like people want to do well. But the way to make the play is not by wishing you'd make the play. It's about focusing on the things within your position, specific skills that get you the opportunity to make the play. So if you're a route runner, it's your release and how you come off the ball. If you're a blocker, it's aiming point, footwork, balance, and you're a linebacker, keys, and not crossing over, destructing blocks, all these things that we talk about at length and nauseum. That is our professional craft. I want to see in a competitive setting where things are turned up a little bit. I think one of the things that we discussed many times in the spring was where our focus was with this particular rookie class, and how they needed to be the type of people that are prepared for that kind of adjustment, where there's a lot of times in football, especially these guys, that they don't have to really mentally strain that much or rely upon trained technique and fundamentals, simply because they're outclassing the rest of the field. That's not the case in the parity that is the NFL. So watching guys take all their training and apply it in a moment of truth, so to speak, that's what I'm looking for. And they know that I'm pretty direct with all of that. So I'm looking for us to have a much better technique and fundamental day than we did in our last joint, which was an improvement from the joint before that.
All right, guys. What the 3 or 4 points, main points I took away. They asked him about tight end Darren Waller. He said he'll slowly continue to build to be with the team. So there's no confirmation he's going to play week 1. They asked him about the effects of Tyreek Hill not being able to participate with the wide receiver room, and he says that it's creating growth and bonding among the other wide receivers. He's a ball of energy, according to Mike McDaniel. They asked him about the injuries to his top two, or two of his top 3 running backs. If he's confident in the other ones behind Devon Achane, and he said yes. And the last point is, how does he feel about making cuts coming Tuesday? And he said it's going to be the hardest one in his 4 years as a head coach to this date. Those are the 4 main points I took away from this press conference. Tua Tagovailoa's presser.
So that's a cool opportunity for those guys with Tyreek not being in there. But, you know, like anything else, that takes practice, and we just got to continue to work on being on the same page.
Did you feel that a little bit later in the practice? It kind of looked like throwing the spots, expecting guys to be there, and maybe the chemistry wasn't there.
Yeah, I would say so, but I would also relay it to some of the guys that were in. You know, I've never really gotten that opportunity until that very moment to talk about that play or talk about what I'm thinking in that scenario with what we're trying to do situationally as well. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into that, but that just takes reps with those guys and me as well. So we just got to continue to work on it. Just know that a lot of those conversations will be had, you know, in our meetings, so we can all get on the same page, talk to them what they were seeing, and then obviously I give my side.
Mike said he does plan on sending starters out there for this preseason game.
Yeah.
Getting the second preseason out there.
That'll be a great opportunity. Great opportunity. Hopefully we get to get Waddle out there. You know, just get him back in his routine, his game day routine, the feel of hearing the first play, going out, running the plays. And then, you know, there's other guys as well. But, you know, there's a lot of injuries and things going on of that nature. So you're going to have to maneuver through who's going to be in there, who's not going to be in there, the risk reward of that as well. So that'll be cool to see Saturday night.
What about being back at Hard Rock for the first time?
That'll be sweet. That's always sweet. And it's good we're not playing at 1 o'clock. It's not as hot, you know.
Both you and Mike and other guys have talked about the process of camp and trying to make things tough on yourselves. Now that you've had the entire camp kind of in the rearview mirror, how would you assess how much better that made you and the offense as a whole?
I think it made us as a team, you know, a lot better. Focused on the right things, not focused on the results of the play, but focused on their fundamentals, their techniques, what they had done in individual and how they transitioned that to team periods and what that looked like. And if they transitioned that and it didn't work out, well, then you can look at, okay, what else are we doing? What else are we not doing, coaching-wise and player-wise, to get us in that position to where we need to be, offense and defensively. So I would say it's a continued grind. It's not something that, okay, we go through the process and this is where the process ends. It's an everyday thing.
This has absolutely nothing to do with this practice, but we're working on a bigger story at ESPN about what quarterbacks and refs talk about pregame.
Mm-hmm.
When you have conversations with officials before a game starts, like what actually goes on in those moments?
Sometimes as we're watching film, we'll see said D lineman likes to touch the quarterback after every play. Talk to him about that. Hey, this guy likes to do that. Like, I don't know why the play's all the way down there and he still feels the need to come touch me. Be aware of that. You could also talk about, you know, this guy likes to hold. We watch film, this and that. There's a lot of scenarios, but I would say for the most part, you're trying to be friends with the ref, you know? Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, it depends who's in there on Saturday. What do you personally want to work on Saturday in the final season game? Depending on how many reps you get, what would you personally like to work on?
Well, I want to work on timing with these guys. I want to see the procedural aspect of it, how we do with the pre-snap deals, motion landmarks, lining up in the right spots, going out, playing fast, everyone knowing where to be, knowing where to go. That's what I want to see for these guys.
How did this training camp overall compare to past months?
Well, I would say it's really the process versus the result. I would say in the previous ones, it was more so trying to find the big plays, trying to get a result out of that, if you will, versus going through the process. I think as you go through the process, you're a little more present than trying to think that this is going to be open and then try to make it open in your mind. So just going through the process, seeing the defense, throwing what's there, then moving on from it. And if it comes back and they take it away, then you continue to go through that process. But I think it keeps me present.
It seems like you've developed some chemistry with the DL schools. What's it been like working with you?
It's been really good. I think the entire team has seen his development over the years. And, I'd like to say he's really been showing out. He's really been showing out. So I'm very proud of him, very happy for him. We have this saying in there, anybody can do it once. So we're always looking to stay as consistent as possible with our jobs and what we do. And, I know he's excited to get back out there and show you guys what else he can do.
Last question.
Well, Devon got a lot of praise from veterans right away when he came in. Did you see a little bit of that in Ollie and the way he runs and his style?
Well, I think in the preseason it's a little hard to gauge, right? But as the preseason goes on, yeah, he'll start to gain, more of a liking to the team as he shows it, his style of running, his style of play. But really, when it comes time to the season, I think that's how you gauge and that's how you earn the respect of the guys.
Last question, Isaiah.
Similar to Coronis' question, just how have you seen Luke Washington develop from year 1 to year 2?
Yeah, I would say his maturity in the offense, not just his maturity, understanding where he needs to be in the timing of the offense. I don't think that's talked about enough for someone like Malik. Very smart, very intuitive, just knows where to be in the right spots. And I would say it's very unique because last year it kind of blows my mind that he was a rookie, like with how he comprehends the scheme and how he's able to go about what we're asking of him offensively.
All right, guys, key points. They asked him about Malik, and he says he's seen a lot of growth. They asked him if he sees comparisons between Devon Achane and Ali Gordon. He said he really doesn't put any main value to the preseason. They also asked him about what is different between this training camp and previous training camps under Mike McDaniel. And he's like, before they were looking for results, now they're just working on the process. So those are the key points to me in the two presser. Like I said, you'll be looking at the video so you can leave any comments if you see any more key points or if you like the video. Now, the presser for Cameron Good.
When did you learn the value of special teams for a player like yourself?
Shoot, the first 2 years, probably. The first year I was on practice squad all year, and that second year I was rolling on special teams all the regular season games. So I tore my knee, so I know that plays a big part in me being here. I think I can make a impact on that. So every time I'm out there on special teams, I know how important that is.
How did you guys take the Matthew Judon addition? Because you've got a lot of talented young edge rushers.
Yeah.
Was it, why are they doing this, or this is going to make us even stronger?
Make us even stronger. We know how deep our room is, how many good guys we got in the room. We're always pushing each other to be better, and that's just another piece of the puzzle to push us, another guy to learn from, and make plays in the big dog room.
What is the key to being a good special teams player?
I think being physical, and I think a lot of things is technique, and then also hustling to the ball, getting to the ball and making that tackle, making plays.
The key question they asked Good was, when did you learn the value of being a good special teams player? Next, the presser from Aaron Brewer.
What were you guys offensively looking to accomplish today, and did you accomplish it?
Go out there and put our best tape on film. Go out there and dominate and keep building off what we've been doing. Like how we finished the second day in Detroit, how we played in Detroit, and keep that going.
Did it feel you dominated?
I feel like we started off exactly how we needed to. We had like a little bumps throughout practice, but I feel like we got back on track close to the end.
What did the physicality of those first 2 joint practices with Detroit and Chicago teach y'all heading into today?
That first joint practice with Chicago, I feel like they were like some BS, you know what I'm saying? Because they was out there tackling and this and that, so it was like fake physicality, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they out there playing tackle football and everybody else was out there playing like 7-on-7 or something, like, it's fake physicality. And you kind of seen that when we went out there and played in a real game. But when in Detroit, I say, like, that just taught, like, you got to have your mind right, like, every day. You got to approach it the same way. Like, you can't short step or do anything like that. Like, I don't know how to put it, really. I'd say just come with that same mentality every day, you know what I'm saying? No matter who you're going against, who it is, like, come with that same mentality and that same dog in you every day.
Drew, did you feel that this team needed to be more physical this season than last season, and did you show that today?
Absolutely. That's every day since we came through OTAs and training camp. That's what you want. You want to be that team that go out there and dominate whoever across the field. Wear them down, they feel you every single play all the way to the end. And I feel like we came out there with that today.
Speaking of feeling, what do you like about Ollie's running style?
Physical. Is that what we just said? Like, you're going to feel him every time he run. And you can visually see it every time. He putting his shoulder down, he going to make every DB, linebacker, whoever they're trying to tackle him, they going to feel it every time he touch the ball. And I love it.
Time for a few more, guys.
With this
Last
offensive line, obviously, you're not completely whole yet without Austin Jackson. How long do you think it'll take you guys to develop a chemistry, especially in the run game?
I feel like we have a good chemistry. Like, once we, like, everybody, you're not going to see it till the season starts, you know what I'm saying? But if you see it during practice here and there, we putting it all together. Even with Larry being there filling in for Austin Jackson right now. Like, you still see that physicality, that pad level, that speed off the ball that we play with. So I feel like we got it there. We in sync.
All right, next, Ollie Gordon meets with the media.
Just up there saying physical. You're a physical runner. You feel every time. Talk about your running style that you want to every time you get the ball.
It's really now I get the ball. It's me or them, honestly. And I'd rather not get put on the highlight tape and make my lineman blocks pay for it. So I'd rather just run behind them. They're gonna get a hat on their hat and just getting downhill. I feel like that's more my style than sideways. Always good to go north to south.
Has it always been like that from the time you were a young runner?
I would say, when I was younger in high school, it was fun to make people miss. I was going for the highlight tape then, but now here, as you progress each level, it's about getting downhill, getting the yards. 3-4 yards is a great run at this level, and we can take that, go back to the drawing board, and get ready for the next play.
Where would you say you are in pass protection right now?
I would say I'm getting better as we go on. I feel like each week I tend to focus on that more. I feel like that's one of my spots I need to focus on to get better. So I would say that.
What area have you grown the most since you first got here?
I would just say getting to know what I'm doing. I feel like my coach is doing a great job with helping me understand the offense and get behind that.
You were just saying about your physicality. When a veteran center like that talks about a rookie like that, what comes to your mind?
I just say everything's huge. Like I said, I just want my vets to be able to trust me. And that's the main part about it, honestly. I'm gonna keep running hard and downhill just for them. Just how hard they blocking for me. So.
Did you like the throwing the shoulder on that one?
Yeah, that was fun. That was the fun part about it. That was a good time.
Do you feel you?
I would just say being able to, work with my teammates and just learn them all. Sometimes different schemes, different things we got to do, but it's just about being able to learn my teammates and know them well to be able to work off of them and be great with that.
Obviously, you don't want to see all these injuries and stuff, but what does your mentality going into there get those new reps this year?
At the end of the day, I'm just doing whatever's best for the team, special teams, anything, I'm here for it. So whatever team we need to do, I'm here for, and that's how it'll be forever.
If they have to call on you for extended action because of the injuries with your backs, how prepared do you feel?
I feel great. Like I said, watching the ones before me, my vets do a great job. They still help me. My coach does a great job. Extra meetings with him, extra meetings with my vets, just talking to them even after meetings, outside of meetings, stuff like that. I feel like it's definitely prepared me for this,
How much do you feel like the backfield is dominating a couple of years ago?
as opposed to maybe last year?
Wait, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, my
How
bad.
much more do you feel like the back was dominant a couple of years ago? Does that feel like yourself again?
Definitely. I would definitely say it does. I do feel like myself again.
What did you learn from the first two exhibition games?
The league is very physical. That's definitely what I learned. And, it's either you get your pass low, they will lower theirs, and I'd rather not get flipped. So, I'd rather lower my pass first.
Were you always running back? A little?
When I was younger, I kind of bounced back from quarterback and running back, and then my sophomore year of high school, a little bit of receiver.
And how did you feel about focusing on that running back?
It was one of those things where my coach told me, like, this is what's best for the team, and, I'm a we over me type of guy, so hey.
All right, the final person, Jason Marshall Jr. Yeah, they asked Ollie about what he feels about the league, how the league is. Is he prepared to be a full-time running back or be the mainstay in case all these injuries linger? And that's basically it. And what he played when he was younger, was he always a running back? And he answered those questions. Now the last presser from yesterday, Jason Marshall Jr.
Honestly, it's been a smooth transition. For myself, I love the position, but, some things happened, with the depth of the team. So just, doing everything I can to help the team as much as possible.
Do you feel like that could be a home for you?
Possibly. Possibly.
Why do your skill sets fit the nickel spot?
Honestly, just, I'm able to move around more freely, get in, tackling. That was a big question in my game coming into, the NFL, things like that. And then, just like I said, just being more physical. I could be more physical in that position, especially with my size.
A lot of nickels say you have to negotiate traffic. Tell me about that process. Has it been difficult? Has it been smooth? Tell me about that.
It's been smooth. Honestly, I'm a quiet guy, but, moving to that position, I obviously have to talk more. So just, building my game into that, communicating more with the guys, with the linebackers, safeties, corners. Like I said, just to help the team.
Did you play any nickel at all?
No, I didn't, no.
Not even high school?
No.
You've always been on the boundary?
Yes.
Okay. Cater started that way too.
Having said that, what are you looking forward to here in this last preseason game? You'll probably get a lot of run, and you'll probably get a lot of chances at that.
Honestly, just, make every opportunity count. That's the biggest thing. Go out there, and like I said, make every opportunity count.
Minka had a lot of words of praise for you in that first game in that slot. Has he been kind of a player coach for you in that process?
Definitely. I look at him as a mentor. He a seasoned veteran. He played that position, also the safety. So just getting tips from him, on what to do, how to show a different coverage or something like that, just to help my game. So.
What was it like going against Brian Thompson? So you had a breakup down the field.
It was good. I faced him, I believe, 3 times in college. So, it's good to face him again, familiar face. So, it at the end of the day, it's all work.
Anything else?
You're a junior. What's senior? What's he do? What's his story?
He's a police officer. Down in Miami-Dade.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. They asked Jason Marshall Jr. how he feels if they were to put him full-time at a nickel, because at Florida, as a Florida Gator, he played on the boundary, and he played on the boundary during high school. So we'll see what happens. He says he would feel comfortable. It would be kind of strange because he said he's a quiet type person, and being a nickel, he has to communicate a lot more than being on the boundary. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fins Talk by Roland Carlos. And like always, fins up, and like always, stay positive, stay on your grind, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace. Go Dolphins.